keep his regime going. Um, George, General Montgomery had a famous double who was used to spread disinformation to the Germans in North Africa. And his name was M.E. Clifton James. And so there's definitely a lot of use for doubles, but the intelligence agencies and the other people who use them do not want this to become a commonly known fact, because it is a very powerful tool, but only if it's secret. Because if you know someone is replaced, then they lose all of their influence. So that's just, their imposter or their lookalike,
Yeah, if you look at the Saddam Hussein's over the years, especially when he's on trial, his beard actually gets darker as the years go on. And the same thing too with Bin Laden too. His beard gets darker as years go on.
Oh, yes, Bin Laden is another one. And even the CIA admitted that they were making videos, propaganda videos with imposter Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden's.
Yeah.
So that was admitted.
And the guy never aged. If anything, he was getting younger.
Right.
How about, you notice recently there was a big controversy. It was just so obvious about Melania Trump that they brought out a separate Melania.
I have heard about that, yes. I haven't researched it.
Oh, yeah, that's a real sloppy job, too. And I had Secret Service agents on here, and I asked them, because that whole thing about Hillary Clinton, one time she had used a double, too. And this guy swore to me up and down. He says, nope, no way, man, because of the liabilities. There's no way that they could use a double. But I guess it's one of those things that maybe they're sworn to secrecy, because your eyes can't lie to you. Some of it's so obvious.
Right. Hillary Clinton, when she collapsed on 9/11 a couple of years ago.
Right.
And then she trots out again, like all fresh and thinner.
Different glasses, the whole thing. Man.
Well, I certainly wouldn't expect the people behind it to tell you the truth about this, because they don't want you to know about decoys. And that also, they may be told it is the same Hillary, because if they knew it wasn't the same one, maybe they wouldn't be as vigilant in their defense. I don't know.
What about, have you seen Putin, the Putin video, pictures of lineup of the different Putins?
Yes, I talk about Putin in the splitting image, actually, and that there is evidence that he was replaced, and even his ex-wife said he was replaced. So, but I don't know enough about Russian politics to speculate about why they'd want to do that.
Well, I think with the last replacement, too, there was even a fire at the Kremlin or something like that. It was a big fire, and then he shows up, different guy, and then they had him at some big ceremony. It was like the guy was just bouncing around and looking, he definitely wasn't the old Putin. He was really a nervous guy.
Totally. Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Putin stuff. If you look at Putin's gotten younger, too. How do these guys get younger, They get younger as the years go on. Everybody else is getting older.
Yeah, that's not suspicious.
Yeah, I know. So, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to bring out about the whole Paul is dead or Paul is swapped theory?
Well, I think that we covered a lot. There's very strong forensic evidence that Paul was replaced. It's not, and there are also a lot of lies that I've caught fallout on where he tells stories and he obviously wasn't there. So, for example, he tells a story that he was in school with George Harrison at primary school. But he says, okay, so George had gotten rapped on the knuckles by the teacher. And then George went home, told his dad. His father comes to school the next day and punches the teacher for this. But the problem is, Paul was never in primary school with George Harrison. He didn't meet him until later, and they were in a high school together, secondary school. So neither Paul nor Paul were even at that school. So he's telling this story because he read it in one of George Harrison, his biography, mine. So he tells these stories and he gets facts wrong. He was talking about like supposedly he was in a hotel with John Lennon during the filming of Help, which was in 1965. And he says they were playing the record that Here, There, and Everywhere was on. And John says, oh, I really like that song. But the problem is, Here, There, and Everywhere didn't come out until Revolver a year later. So how could he have been playing the record in 65? See what I'm saying? Like, he gets a lot of facts wrong. And then even in the mainstream, they're surprised that Paul doesn't, or Paul, they say Paul, but it's Paul, but they're surprised he doesn't know how to play certain Beatles songs. And then he'll say, oh, I would never try to play Day Tripper live because it's too difficult. Then you go back to 66 and they're playing Day Tripper. It was on their normal set list for that year. So, and then they can't play Nowhere Man because it's too difficult. But then the Beatles are playing it live. And then he doesn't know the chord for A Hard Day's Night. It's like, well, and he doesn't know the chord progression for Hard Day's Night. It's like, but he played it 200 times, It's like, well, yeah, he's obviously not the same person. But you see, like, even the mainstream is kind of like, well, why doesn't he know how to play his songs? But they're not going to tell you.
Is there anything about being right-handed and left-handed with Paul, too, as well?
Oh, yeah. So Paul, the original Paul, was fully left-handed. He said he did everything left-handed. He even wrote backwards. So then Paul is pretending to be left-handed. I mean, he certainly plays bass or pretends to play bass left-handed, but almost everything else he does right-handed. So if you watch him, there's a video in which he catches a bouquet with his right hand, and he is holding the microphone with his right hand, and he is doing all sorts of things with his right hand. So it's like, yeah, I mean, he's just pretending to be left-handed as needed, but he's predominantly right-handed is my take on it, if you just watch him.
Do you think we'll ever find out, and this story will come out?
As far as what really happened?
Yeah, like finally they'll admit it. When Paul dies, Ringo will admit it, or something, that it'll come out conclusively.
I'm not holding my breath. I think it's there are too many lies wrapped around this, and there's too much at stake if they were to let it out. It's like the JFK assassination. They're never, ever, ever going to tell you what happened because the people involved, the agenda, there's just a whole can of worms that if you knew, it would just reveal too much. In my opinion.
I got you, and I hear you. Because what's George Martin going to say? Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you got me. You know what I mean? What are they going to say? Heather Mills, Yoko. What are they going to say? Hey, by the way, do you ever hear that the clip of May Pang when she says, "I was with both of them"?
Oh, with Paul and Paul?
I asked her on my show. I had her on my show, and I said, "Hey, what about Paul is dead?" And she goes, "Oh, no, he's not dead. I was with both of them."
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you got to catch it. It could be taken out of context that she was talking about Paul and John. I don't know, man, but if you listen to it, was just
I think she meant Paul. I think she meant Paul and John. Yeah, because she didn't come on the scene until later after Paul was disappeared.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think he's dead. I think the original Paul's still around. But anyway, we're out of time. Tina Foster, you're always a joy to have on the show. And I had no idea you were so pretty, man. My God, you're a beautiful woman. I had a little Skype view there for a few minutes.
Shucks.
Yeah, shucks is right. Hey, so what do you call it? What do you want to leave us with before we go?
Oh, I hope that people will get my book, and I hope to set the record straight about Paul and his legacy and to restore his reputation as a musician. And put him in a different light and separate him out from Fall, because they really shouldn't be conflated. They're two completely different people with different personalities, different musical ability. And I think the original Paul was a genius songwriter who had a good heart and was really trying to inform people and better the situation for people. And he got shut down, and Fall was a puppet for the powers that be. And he needs to be exposed, and don't expect the mainstream to tell you. You just have to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, there's enough clues there to really come to your own conclusions. Tina Foster, thank you so much. The book is called, once again, Plastic Macca, The Secret Death and Replacement of Beatle Paul McCartney. She has her own blog, a website too, called plasticmacca.blogspot.com. You can find her on Facebook. She's always chatting away and debating with people on Facebook. Tina Foster. And what are some of the other places online they can find you?
Well, the books are on Amazon, and I'm on YouTube and Brighteon. And you can email me at falconandsnowjob@hotmail.com, and that's on my blog. So, yeah, I would like for people to add me on MeWe and Facebook and get our little community going.
There you go. Tina Foster, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, wait, Tina Foster. We've had her on the show several times, and she's gotten better with more details as the time goes on. I'll tell you a funny story, though. One of the first times, I think it was the first time I had her on the show, we were involved in this other controversy. It had nothing to do with Tina Foster. And we were dealing with this guy who was a hoaxer, this professional hoaxer. And and he was starting to, I was going back and forth with this guy behind the scenes. I'll tell the whole story one day. And because I caught him. I busted this guy. And as soon as I busted him, he says, okay, what do you want me to do? Okay. And what do you call it? So he was starting to heckle me on my YouTube channel and comment on different shows and stuff like that. It was, a little passive-aggressive behind-the-scenes retaliation. And so what happened was, right after I had Tina Foster on the show, that article came out on Before It's News about Ringo comes out and admits that Paul was switched, right? And everybody, it's been repeated over and over. People think that's real, okay? But I know it was that guy. It was this professional hoaxer, okay, that I was doing back and forth with, man. He did that thing right after listening to my show. He came right out with it. And later on, he admitted to me, confessed to me that he did it. But people still quote that article and say, oh, yeah, it started out on Before It's News. Anybody can upload anything to Before It's News. And then it went on Your News Wire, all those fake sites, back then in those days. And it got repeated and repeated over. And if you Google it now, say Ringo says Paul is dead, you'll still find people quoting it like it was real. And that originated from this show, from having Tina Foster on our show. So that's a little behind-the-scenes trivia for you there. Okay, guys, I love Tina Foster, too, coming on the show. But if you enjoyed today's show, check out OppermanReport.com. That's where we have our members section. There's an additional 200-plus shows on that. I think we're up to 208. Okay, there's also documents, there's photographs, there's scanned pages from magazines on there, too, as well. All kinds of content on there at OppermanReport.com. Videos, court documents, all kinds of stuff. And it's $6 a month. And if you become a member and you support that work, you get new shows, exclusive content, stuff, reporting you're not going to hear anywhere else in the world. I have guests on there that nowhere else you'll hear them. So that's what supports this show. That's what keeps us on the air. Okay, otherwise we'd be off the air by now. I guarantee it. And I'd probably be homeless, too, the way things are going now. Because we just lost the YouTube income. We just lost the child support. So it's the member section. It's the bulwark of our income here. So $6 a month. Okay, but if you want to get a discount, you want to email me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com. I'll give you 13 months for $65. So that's a huge, huge savings, and that's what keeps us afloat here, too. If you want to advertise on the show, we're always picking up new stations. We're back on KYAH 540 AM. You can catch us there. So any huge signal reaches a ton of Utah there. If you want to advertise on the show, we got great advertising rates for you. Email me at oppermanreport@gmail.com, and I'll give you a nice, good deal there. Also, donations. Okay, maybe you're already a member, you already have an advertiser. Checked off all those boxes. Okay, you can donate. We got a donate button over there at oppermanreport.com. Also, too, we are no longer on YouTube. I am free of YouTube. YouTube stopped monetizing our accounts. We lost some income from that. But just go to Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. You follow the show there. You'll get an email whenever the show airs, so you'll never miss a show. There's a chat room in there. You could chat back and forth. And by the way, too, people that are in there that chat every day, go back to the old shows and check, because a lot of people commenting to you and remarking back and forth. And some people just chat live. But people can still, they listen to an archive of the show like a year ago, and there's always comments, and there's always new comments in that section, man. I get notifications every time there's a comment, and people are talking about things from 3, 4, 5 years ago. So if you're one of the regular members of the chat room, go back and check the old shows and see if there's any comments there for you. Spreaker.